Hi guys. Okay, so tonight we are going to talk about comparative adjectives, okay, and superlative adjectives. So in superlative, you hear the word super, and in comparative, you hear the word compare. So we're going to talk about both of these, and our title is going to be comparative, right? A little bit small here. Comparative and superlative. Make sure you're capitalizing your titles. And then adjectives can go down here, taking up 2 lines. Adjectives. Okay. Comparative and superlative adjectives. Adjectives. So we're going to underline compare and super. Oh, not compare, Ms. Hargrove. Just, oh yeah, compare. Okay, what's going on here? There we go. Compare and super. Okay, so when we compare two things, we see how they're different, right? So comparative adjectives, remember adjectives are what? Describing words. Let's do a little arrow and remind ourselves of that. Adjectives are describing words. Okay? So we're thinking about how can we tell the difference between two things with an adjective, okay? So if I talked about this pen and actually, let's do this. If I talked about this Sharpie and this Sharpie, let me get them a little closer so you can see. We can see that this Sharpie is bigger or fatter than this Sharpie. It's kind of hard to see, I know, but okay. It's kind of hard to see, but this Sharpie in this finger is fatter than this one in this finger. So so thick, we can use thick or fat or big. Either way, that's an adjective that would describe this in comparison to this, okay? How do they compare? Let's talk about something else. Let's say this bottle of hand sanitizer and this bottle of hand sanitizer. So we can compare them by their size, right? So I would say that this hand sanitizer is bigger than this. This hand sanitizer is smaller than this. We're comparing them. We're seeing how they're different by their size. I could also say that this hand sanitizer is greener than this. So this has a little bit of green, but this is greener, right? And this is yellower, right? Or more yellow. So, put that back. Okay, so let's talk about it. So when we do comparative adjectives, comparative, make sure you're writing on the line, please. We're going to say that comparative compares to, capitalize it, all caps, to, underline, things or people. So two things with an adjective. Okay. So for example, this is bigger than this. This is cleaner than this. This is messier than this. This is easier or harder. What do you notice about all these words that I'm saying? They all end in what? Right? So we have the suffix. We're going to do a little star right here. We add suffix. Remember, a suffix goes at the end of a word, and then we'll do a dash ER. Okay? So some examples would be, let's do little bullet points. We'll say bigger. Another bullet point, faster. Another bullet point, stronger. And we'll do one last one, cleaner. Okay? And we're going to underline those ERs. If you have a colored pencil, colored marker, underline it with a color. Okay, so ER. That compares how many things? Two, right? Compares two things, and we're comparing them. We can compare them by their size, their color, their shape, their cleanliness, their strength, their speed. We can compare anything, right? With that adjective that ends in ER. And there's some exceptions to the ER rule, but we're going to talk about those next week, okay? So that's comparative. Drew a little squiggle line. And let's go back up here and look at this word. Superlative. What is something that's super? What does super mean? Super means the best, right? the most spectacular, right? So a superlative adjective tells the best or the most out of all of the things that you're talking about. So let's come down here. Superlative, writing on the line. Some of you are famous for not writing on the line. Superlative. So we're going to say compares, all caps, 3 or more, underline, things with an adjective. Okay, so out of these 3 pens, the black one is the tallest. The purple one is the shortest, right? If I were talking about these 3 yellows, I know it's kind of hard for you to see the last 2, but I would say this one is the least yellow, this one is the most yellow, or the darkest and the lightest. What do you notice about all of those words that I'm saying? What do they end in? Sorry, my hand isn't on the camera. What do you notice that those words end with? Est, right? So we are going to, when we are trying to compare things that are 3 or more things, so I have 3 things or I have a million things, I'm going to use a superlative adjective. Okay, so we're going to use, I'm going to say add suffix, so a little star, add suffix, est. Remember, suffixes we add to the end of words to change the meaning of the word, right? It changes the meaning when we add it to the root word, okay? Add the suffix est. So some examples. We could say tallest. We could say easiest. Ooh, let's not do that one actually. Not easiest. Just kidding. Erase. That has something we need to talk about next week. We can say largest. We could say greenest. I have the greenest sweater on. Greenest. Or I could say smoothest. Okay. What do you notice that we did with all of those words? What did we add? EST, 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 EST. Okay, so remember, comparative, we're comparing 2 things. Superlative, we're comparing 3 or more things. Okay, so that's about all for tonight. We're going to learn about some different rules next week for some different situations, kind of like plural nouns, how we had different situations where it was like, well, we can't always say, just put an S on there. Sometimes we had to put IES or VES. Same thing is going to happen here where we're going to talk about some exceptions to the rule. Okay? Y'all are awesome. Have a lovely night. I'll see you tomorrow.